There's nothing accent.
Stop laughing.
It's not doing what it's doing. We have Jacksonville entering the show.
Apparently, yeah.
So this is why we need Ollie.
After that little stunted start, let me get the show rolling. Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you are in the world. You could be watching the Eric Ten Hag masterclass on the other channel, but you're here with us, and we greatly appreciate that. Welcome to another Thursday edition of the Third and Long podcast. I am, of course, Shane Harris. Below me is my favourite little Geordie Raji, Mr. Philip Perrins.
How weird, man.
Away. And this side, yeah, the wrong side, is the OG of the podcast, Mr. Ollie Butler Henderson. Gentlemen, how are we feeling on this Thursday evening?
Even better now, I've got this bad boy.
Ooh.
Oh,
Oh my god. I thought this podcast would rate PG. Oh, that's sexy right there.
Although it's a bit cold in my house, so I'm not taking the hoodie off.
Get your orders in the comments. Get your orders in the comments.
Ooh.
Oh, mate, I am so good today. How is everyone?
Well, great. I feel really, really brilliant. I feel like our podcast is one up on any other podcast that talks about American football. Okay, close your mouth, Mr. Harris. You're not going to catch any flies.
I can strangle you, Philip. I know what you did. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I went to see the fantastic Beast in Black last night. Come home a little inebriated, as I do. Fell down the stairs, got a bit of a carpet burn as well. So yeah, that's what I call battle damage. Other than that, yeah, it was a good night.
My youngest has got some great road rash. Hey. Oh, gentlemen, you'll notice we are a threesome, not a foursome tonight. Ollie's had some personal problems, personal issues he's had to deal with tonight. So we wish him all the best and hope everything is okay. And he will be back with us next week, all being well. It's been a quiet week of NFL, but good job we've got XFL to talk about, haven't we, Phil?
We do, gentlemen. Did you happen to catch any of the highlights this weekend?
I have seen bits of it, yes. I've seen a wide receiver flip and land on his feet, which I was so impressed by, and I can't remember his name. I wrote it down on my works pad and I can't find it.
To be fair, when you brought it up earlier, it escapes me. Now, I managed to watch all 4 games over the weekend. And if I'm being really, really honest, with the exception of the Orlando Guardians against the Houston Roughnecks, every single game went down to more or less the last play of the game. The leads changed. I mean, you know, when Scott Hansen on Red Zone, when he talks about the witching hour, where losses become wins and wins become losses, that's exactly what happened in 3 out of the 4 games that happened this weekend, where the Arlington Renegades, they were down in the 4th quarter, and with more or less the last play of the game, they secured the victory for themselves against the Vegas Vipers in a 22-20 victory. As I mentioned prior, the game that followed in the evening on Saturday, Orlando Guardians at Houston Roughnecks, I should say, that was just a one-way demolition job. Orlando put up 12 points while Houston blew them away with 33. They looked the strongest team so far in terms of offense as well as defense. I was really, really impressed with the Roughnecks. I think the game of the weekend was definitely the DC Defenders against the Seattle Sea Dragons. I want to like the Sea Dragons so much, but the fact that they play in Seattle really, 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 really puts me off. But again, that was a game that was ultimately decided in the last play of the actual game itself. Hines Ward, he started his coaching career in the XFL as head coach with a losing effort against the Battlehawks, again in an 18-15 loss in favour of the Battlehawks. But just in case you haven't seen it on social media, and I think it was probably the highlight, you mentioned about like doing the flip, Ollie. I think it was in the Arlington Renegades game. I can't remember the player's name, but for me, there was a point in the DC Defenders and the Sea Dragons game where they started it in the XFL season a couple of years ago when they first brought it back, and it was every home game the DC Defenders fans would have a beer snake, and then basically, it's, in case you don't know what that is just getting all the empty kind of like red cups or just see-through cups, and then connecting them all together to create a long beer snake in the home area. And at one point, the security went over and broke up like this, this beer snake that they'd created. It looked like they got to like 15, 20 feet in terms of how big they got it. So that's a lot of beer they consumed in the stadium. And the fans booed it, and then so they started just throwing the lemons from their cups onto the stadium to the point where they actually suspend the play for a little bit to get the fans from doing it. But it was all done in good fun. It wasn't done in terms of like calling like hooligans or stopping the play. Everybody there just seemed to have a great experience, and I really hope
they say. But you know what they say: when life gives you lemons,
you throw them at the referees. Absolutely. you throw them at the opposition team.
So many lemons into the stadium. That's a bit strange. Did it just?
Honestly, yeah. It was just so surreal seeing all these half lemons on the football turf, and they had to delay the game to get all the lemons off the pitch. And it was honestly, it was almost like a lemon field, in the DC defensive area. But I really hope, as week 2 comes into it, tonight's game, as we have like our first Thursday night games, it's the Battlehawks taking on the Sea Dragons in Seattle. That's going to be live on FX or ESPN Plus. I managed to watch the coverage on ABC on Sunday night, and I really enjoyed it. It's really, again, just nice having spring football. It's not going to be the same quality. Once you kind of like take out of your head that it's not ultra elite NFL level, it is almost like a semi-pro level, essentially, because they're coming a lot.
It reminds me of, like, if you recall, the Lakeside darts that used to be on in January.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that compared to what I call the Sky Sports PDC darts now. It's like Sunday League and Champions League.
No. And once you get over your head that it's not the NFL, and just enjoy it for what it is, it's so much more fun. You've got a load of these players that are, it's either like their last chance saloon, or they didn't get drafted last year and this is their opportunity to get noticed to try and be part of like the 50-man squad. I know when Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson came out, and he's really pushing his documentary series 54, which is essentially when he came out of college. And we talk about like the 53-man squad for any NFL team. He was the 54th man. He was the one that was cut. And these teams are full of players that were probably the 54th player on a lot of these rosters. So again, this is just a really good opportunity to keep their names going, to keep them earning money, but also just a chance to kind of sell themselves to being on rosters next year. And it happened. That's why what's his name? He was in he's backup for the Ravens. It's CJ. No. He was the backup quarterback for the Ravens.
At the moment, is Tyler Huntley and Anthony Brown.
Didn't Tyler Huntley come from the XFL?
No,
he was the one that comes from the XFL.
Commanders. Tyler Heineke.
Was it Heineke?
Tyler Heineke.
I didn't think. Yeah. Either way, excellent
and
opportunity.
And it was PJ Walker.
Thank you. And where's PJ
Walker
now?
That's right for the Panthers.
I remember from last year. So again, just a really good opportunity for it. Paxton Lynch, any Broncos fans out there, became the first player in NFL history, CFL history, and XFL history to be benched in his first game for the team that he's playing for. He didn't have a great game the weekend, but he didn't have a horrible game, and he was benched, and that created quite a bit of a controversy in the world of the XFL. We'll see as it develops over the next 1 weeks. I really hope ratings do well in America. I know on ABC it cracked 1 million views. I know the goal is to keep that very consistently going through to the spring season as it goes over the next 16 weeks. I think it's just really, really good again, just for the game of professional football, just having an alternative in the spring, because as we talked about last week, it's a long, long wait for the draft, and it just keeps people talking about football and keeps enjoying the sport that we love.
100%. But yeah, I totally. And it's like, I mean, Paxton Lynch has been dropped more times than a bad boxer, you know?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, he's been dropped. Yeah, I don't have a better metaphor than that, but you're absolutely right.
Hopefully, I'll get dropped more than Jake Fury does, or less than Jake Fury does. There's a couple of things I really liked. I liked that obviously there's no kicking team, as in going for field extra points. I love the fact
Yep.
you can go for 1, 2, or 3.
Yep.
Gives a bit of variety. I don't see that going to the NFL. I could possibly see a variation of that, but I do like their kickoff rule.
Yes, and I think again, it's one of those things that it looks odd on TV initially, but there's no kickback. Like it's encouraging for them to return the ball. Now, I didn't see any like significant returns the last weekend, but instead of they just kick it straight into the end zone and there's no return, it starts from the 25. It was actually quite refreshing to actually see skill put into either like the offensive side of special teams, but also the defensive side of special teams.
Then there was the 4 and 25 rule after a touchdown, wasn't it? You can go for again. That's a nice innovation. You can see that, especially if teams needing 2 scores going into the last minute they've scored and they're going to keep hold of the ball instead of just stops them going the onside. Right, okay, we're going to try and get it straight away. I do like that rule. I mean, it worked for the Battlehawks.
Yeah,
they went for 4 and 25, got it, and then got the first down, and they went in to win the game. So it is going to work in that. But yeah, there are some really nice innovations in this that are going to. I can see the NFL going, that's interesting. Yeah. Wonder if we can have our own version of that one. It's because quite a lot of Pro Bowlers a couple of years ago they didn't even bother taking the punter. It just sat there for a bit of laugh.
Well, that's where the Skycam concept came from, the original XFL, and now it's been used in the NFL for a number of years.
Yeah, and it still gets hit every now and then.
Exactly. Yeah.
It is interesting that obviously you've got some players in there, like you've got Mateus Bryant, you've got Josh Gordon there. Obviously, we've mentioned Paxton Lynch. You've got some very good, like ex-NFL players in there that had some misdemeanors that caused their NFL career to end, and they're trying to rebuild. Obviously, they don't earn as much money. I think it's something like 80 grand a year. 80 grand a year they can earn, or something like that, isn't it? It's not a huge amount of money.
No.
But like Phil said, these players who've fallen out on the, didn't get drafted, fallen out of the rosters, like didn't make the practice squad. It's a chance for them to go, hi, I can still play football. I'm really good. Pick me. So
let's just look for like the annals of like NFL history, like players that have been in the USFL, like Steve Young, Hall of Famer, Steve Young, people that played in arena football, Kurt Warner. Like, that weren't drafted into the NFL, but they still kept playing in smaller leagues, lesser paying leagues, lesser quality leagues, but they still kept themselves in a particular shape, a particular format where people still knew who they were. And those are just 2 names off the top of my head that I was thinking of earlier when we're talking about shop windowing and selling, potential starting places or being on rosters for next year. And it's just great to keep seeing just second, third, fourth chances for some of these players that genuinely deserve it and love the sport.
You've got somebody that basically held the Cowboys up in Dak's absence last year in Ben DiNucci.
Yeah. The Sea Dragons.
Another one. Yeah.
There are some good players in Ben DiNucci. When I saw him on Hard Knocks, I thought this guy could be really good. I thought they were going to keep him on, but they let him go, obviously. But hey, he's going to make a career in the XFL. You never know. He might get in a shot. One of the main quarterbacks go down in the winter and give it a go. And like they've said, the XFL players can be released from their contract at the end of the season so they can enter the NFL. Because the XFL finishes, minicamp, training camps start.
Yeah.
So they've got this chance to end the XFL and have a chance to go into the NFL because they've performed. There's a few wide receivers, there's a couple of running backs. especially for the guys who hold the rock and throw the rock. They're the ones who could take the big chances. And obviously, on the dark side of the ball as well, there is a lot of players in there. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to watching a few more games. I mean, there's a couple of good games this weekend. Like you said, St. Louis against Seattle, I think that'll be a good game. Battle of the NFL and ex-NFL areas. Could be a couple of good ones there.
Absolutely. Again, I'm just pumped. It's I mean, The Rock is The Rock. Daniel Garcia's ex-wife, business partner. We can say what we want about The Rock, but whether or not this is an ego project for them, or in terms of an opportunity to just make more money off the back of the many TV shows that The Rock has produced and starred in. But I still generally think it is that opportunity. It's a giving opportunities to more people to succeed, and I think that's such a great thing. So when all the weeks leading up to when we were talking in our Facebook chat or even online, I know I kind of felt at some point where I was just becoming really insufferable when I was telling you guys, can I plug the XFL this week? Can I talk about the XFL week? Now that it's here, it hasn't disappointed me. I watched all 4 games the weekend. I'm not going to be able to watch the game live tonight because I have to get up in the morning to teach.
Small matter of work.
I know, and I've got a 4-5 lesson day as well, so it's unlikely that I'm gonna. I know. So it's unlikely that I'm gonna be able to watch it live, but I'm gonna watch the highlights. And there's a podcast that you can listen to if you download the XFL app. It's XFL Daily. Kind of like the same similar format of when they have the NFL Daily podcast, but Pat McAfee's on board. Our good friend Brandon Perner on That's Good Sports, he's plugging the XFL. He's doing his weekly shows as well, so he's really buying into it. It's just exciting times, just genuinely exciting times. I really hope it succeeds.
Oh yeah, I mean it looks like it could be really good. I did hear the commentary that had Pat McCarthy in it, or Pat McCaffrey in it, and I thought, oh hello, they've actually tried and got someone on here. So yeah, it definitely is worth a look. Go and have a look over. Best way to see it is you're looking at college football. That's the best way to do it.
Oh, 100%.
100%. That's a good way. That's the way to look at it, I think. Going right, bit of football, bit of college. It's just something to keep you going. It's like pre-season friendlies. Another way to look at it. These players are good. Very, very good players, I'd say. Right. As you noticed, Mr. Hope is not here, but we do have our draft prospect series going on.
Yay!
Who would like to go first, gentlemen?
Don't all jump at once and put your hands in the air at once, like.
Well, I'm doing Joey Porter Jr., but because I've just gone on a 10-minute rant about the XFL, I'm happy to let somebody have the forum before I talk about why Joey Porter Jr.
Philip. It's not a rant. It's passionate. It's passionate discourse. That's what it is.
I will take Devon Witherspoon, number 1. And before I do that, Myla Hall said, "Hello, you lovely lot." Hello,
Kelly.
All right, Kel.
You wonderful human being.
So I've taken Devon Witherspoon out of Illinois. He was ranked number 5 out of Daniel Jeremiah's top 50 prospects going to this year's draft. Quick, rangy, loves a tackle, loves a hit. If you wait until the very end and watch the last clip, there's a hit and a half. It's even harder than the one that Sean McVay took against in LA. Was 6'1", 180 pounds from Pine Forest. Interesting is he is a 0-star recruit. Didn't get any stars in the recruiting process, which is really strange. Last season's stats: 42 tackles, 33 of them were solo. 14 pass deflections, 3 interceptions, 2 of them against Northwest Wildcats. I mean, look at the pace of this guy. It's like, look how quick he gets around that corner to get from there.
Quality.
I mean, quality. I mean, there's some really good, watching it here, great tight coverage on the wide receiver there. He's not going anywhere. That hit. Watch this. He's literally, when I say he loves to tackle, he loves to hit. That's it. I mean, the bloke's soul left him, and he's gone. Yeah, sod this. I've given up. There it is, coach. 2022 Woodson Defensive Back of the Year. Now, this is a massive award for them. He made the All-American team for 2022. You know, Ollie knows about this. It was an All-American show. It's like about making All-American team for colleges. He's made the All-American, or made the first team Big Ten as well. This guy's a future. I think he's going to be the first DB off the board. Possibly, I've got him going at 6, I think, to Detroit. But yeah, this guy is going to be absolutely awesome. Shano, do you fancy going on Christian Gonzalez?
Yeah, but yes, no worries at all. I'm going with.
I will play the video because the video is a little bit longer.
Go for it.
I mean, I love that pick. I mean, the one thing I've mentioned of this, and I put on the group chat, this guy's a ball hawk. Brilliant, brilliant ball hawk. And I don't know why it's so distracted. Carry on. I've taken over your player. Carry on.
So I would rather the viewers who watch the footage without my uneducated analysis. And I wait until it finishes and I'll speak.
Speak away, mate. Speak away. You're completely and utterly fine.
As you can see, he's in the very much the Ed Reed ball hawk type mold. So he would be, a great addition to a certain team that play in purple. Hint, hint, not the Vikings. It's Christian Gonzalez, the Oregon product, who's 6'2", and he's a big lad for 6'2" as well. He's 6'2", he's 201 pounds, and he's very smooth. Like his style of play, he's not sort of like twitchy. He's very smooth, and as you can see, he's quite quick. He can be used on special teams as well. So that's handy for someone like that to be used on the defensive side of the ball and be used on special teams too. In the Daniel Jeremiah's top 50, he's 20th, which I think is a little unfair. Either that, or it goes to show what is available, how good the people are in front of him to show that he is 20th. And I think he's stepping up from high school a little early. Ollie, is it a year early? A year early, I think.
He is. I believe he is in his third year, so it's his first eligible year coming out of out of college. So he's a good player. He is a very good player.
I think he's a little early. I mean, I completely understand that you would want to get at that stage of your career moving as quickly as possible, but of course, it is the elite level of the sport. So I wouldn't rush it. But like I said, Christian Gonzalez looks like a very solid pick. And whoever gets him will be lucky to have him.
Most definitely. I'm going to jump on and do Ollie's pick. Ollie's pick was Brian Branch out of Alabama, the defensive back. So he's actually classed as a safety. Really, really good player. He is 6 foot, 193 pounds. Crimson Tide back number 14. Really good player. His stats from this year was 90 tackles, 58 of them solo, 3 sacks, so he can blitz from the DB position as well. A couple of interceptions this year as well. He's ranked a little bit low. He's 25th in Jeremiah's top 50. They've got him marked down as a cornerback, but even though on some of the things he's marked as a safety, he's good against the run. He can fill tackles. He's quick. Makes some good blocks. He's a really, really good player, and he's ranked. He's probably going to go mid first round, late first round, I think. Looking at him, solid player. How's your voice? Hey, he's got some bricks. He's playing with stuff in the background. Are you ready for Joey Porter? Can you speak?
I am. I'm going to talk about the wall. Okay. So.
Here's a little bit of a video for him.
All right, so that's just Marvel at Joey Porter Jr. Okay, absolute beast of a cornerback, really quick, really physical. When I go into a little bit ins and outs of him as a player, he's not a deep coverage, cornerback. He's very much like his linebacker father, where he likes to tackle, he likes to get involved. I mean, I think the closest that we can probably compare him to is almost the cornerback equivalent to Hufanga that plays for the 49ers. Questionable when it comes back to stepping back and reading the pass, but he loves to tackle, he loves pressing up against wide receivers, tight ends, but also going after the quarterback as well. So Joey Porter Jr., helming from Penn State, height 6'2", weighing at 194 pounds. And let me tell you this, Jen. Sorry. Last season in Penn State, he was voted their most valuable defensive player. 27 tackles, 11 pass breakups in 10 starts. Now, he missed the last couple of games towards the end of the season because he was dealing with appendicitis, so he missed out of the Rose Bowl that he could have competed in. But in terms of when we look at his strengths, he's very much, like I said before, like his Hall of Famer Super Bowl winning linebacker Joey Porter Sr. He's probably the most physical in terms of his strength out of all the secondary players that are going in the draft this year. He's got great hand usage. He can break the ball up quite well. He's quite good in terms of intercepting, but he's more likely to bat the ball away in terms of instead of taking in a reception or a pick and taking it to the house. He matches up better against tight ends more so than your traditional wide receiver. Again, just that physical aspect as well. He likes to go toe to toe with his opponents. His weaknesses, there is a very, very noticeable, and I looked at his highlights, just a quick highlight reel on YouTube earlier. There is a noticeable delay in his transitions from press to coverage. So him reading the game, probably will take a couple of years to development. He's not necessarily comfortable with complex defensive routes. So again, he's more of an instinct, go and blitz, go and tackle, go and press, more so than figuring out like the read options. So not necessarily counting on being able to read an offensive audible. I would comfortably say if he either goes into the first round, I think he's good enough to be a first round pick, but he's very, very comfortably would be gone by the second round. And I can see him starting and being CB2, CB1 within his first 2 years into the league. I'm very, very excited. I know I said about this months ago before we even talked about the draft that Joey Porter Jr., my heart says I think he should end up in Pittsburgh, but I think there are other teams that are going to be really looking at bolstering their secondary for him when he comes into the league. Okay, I'm really, really impressed with this guy. I think he's going to be a great addition to any NFL roster, just like his dad.
And I'd just like to thank Mel Kiper for that analysis there on Joey Porter Jr.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
That's a brilliant answer. So I've seen several mock drafts over these past few weeks, and I've seen all four of our DBs end up at New England. I took the assumption that our DBs was probably our strongest core. Weak wide receiver, we're okay at quarterback. Our O-line is horrendous. But I always thought our DBs and on our defensive side was really good. So I'm not sure where this sudden need that we have to take a DB in the first round is. I'd always thought.
But do you not always think, though, because we were talking about this earlier, and when I was putting together a little bit of research on Joey Porter Jr. and the secondaries as a whole, and he makes perfect sense for going to New England because Bill Belichick, yes, he's a Hall of Fame coach, yes, he's won 6 Super Bowls in New England. Oh, sorry, is it 7? 7? Was it 6 or 7?
6 in New England, 7. No, 8 in total.
So him being also a defensive coach initially, but also a DB coach. I mean, it makes perfect sense. Some of the best NFL defenses and best NFL teams in history build from the secondary. We talk about defense winning games. The secondary shuts down the pass. And once you shut down the pass and you have to rely on the run game, that's where your defensive line and your linebackers are eating it up. As we saw in the NFC Championship, when you get rid of your quarterback who can't throw and you have to run, it's easy to stop. So shutting down the pass game, we look at the Legion of Boom in Seattle. We talk about the years that the Patriots have dominated because they had an effective secondary. The 49ers in the 81 and the 84 season, when they had the best team in the NFL, their defense, their secondary with Ronnie Lott was exceptional. So when we talk about that 94 with Deion Sanders and Merton Hanks, we talk about great teams. Great teams are also built on the back of great secondaries. And
definitely.
that's kind of where I sit with it. So all your chips can be laid up, all your ducks can be ready, but your secondaries are probably the most important position on your defense. That's just how I feel
That's
about it.
my
And I didn't play
favourite.
secondary, Ollie. You did, and that's something that I do
Oh yeah.
genuinely believe.
I mean, I was very much a man coverage secondary. I didn't play zonal because I was shite at it. I was man coverage, and it's literally, it is almost like centre back following a striker. That's the best way to describe it.
Yeah,
And I loved it. And you're like, okay, yes, in Britball and British American football, you're not throwing the ball 40, 50 yards. They're not, they're doing little check downs. So the wide receivers aren't that far away from the line of scrimmage anyway.
Yep.
But to have, to be able to stop the pass and break the pass, it means you've got to rely on their run game, or as Phil's saying. And it is hard to get a run game going. So stop the pass, you can stop the run game, and that's how it works. Some of the best players in the league, and some of my most favourite players who are in the league, are DBs.
Yeah.
Two of my favourite players in New England are Stefan Gilmore and Malcolm Butler.
yeah. I love Pat Chung. I love Pat Chung for you guys. I thought he was exceptional.
Brilliant.
I always traded him to the 49ers on Madden because I just thought he was that good as a safety.
Sherman for Seattle.
What?
Brilliant.
Yeah.
Richard Sherman in Seattle. I'm pretty sure Richard Sherman in San Francisco was so much better. So much better.
These players are brilliant. New York have had great DBs. Washington had great. Every team have had a great DB along the line. Even in LA, they've still got these. Jalen Ramsey's a brilliant shutout corner, if not one of the best ever to play in the game.
Yes.
So it is really important to have these class DBs because you're going to need someone to be your best DB against their best wide receiver. Because their wide receiver is going to get at least 50% of the targets.
Yeah.
And if you could stop 40, 60%, 60, 70% of those targets coming to your main reception, it makes it a lot harder for them to get that first down. And then that makes the game really difficult for their offense. This is why it's really good to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different targets, not just Devontae Adams, as Las Vegas found out this year.
Yes,
100%, but 100%. I know. I always say one of my favorite sayings is never trust a man with 2 first names. But one of the best cornerbacks in the league is Marlon Humphrey.
Yeah. Peterson, he's another brilliant one as well.
Yeah,
played up at your place, absolutely brilliant. There are some
Revis Island, baby, Revis Island. Oh my God,
Hall of Fame.
Absolutely. Won his Super Bowl in New England and then went straight back to the Jets. You can't even say he wasted his career because he made a boat ton of money at the Jets. Was it 1 or 2 seasons in New England, won his Super Bowl, went back to the Jets and just kept raking it in. You don't need to win multiple Super Bowls if you make money and win at the same time. Love Revis Island.
Completely and utterly completely agree. Right. Going to do something a little bit different. Every now and then it gets a little bit quiet in the NFL. So we're going to play a little bit of a game to fill things out, make things a little house. So I'm going to go and do something very quickly. I'm going to do this, come back. I am now Ryan Pauls. That's the quickest thing I could do. I couldn't have a Ryan Pauls mask. So it didn't work.
Chicago-based GM for those.
Yeah. I am Ryan Pauls. Chicago Bears hold the number one pick in the draft. 99.9% of us believe that Justin Fields is their franchise quarterback. They're not going to need a quarterback. There are lots of teams in this league, at least 6 or 7 teams needing a quarterback. Make me an offer for that number 1 pick or any other trade you would like to take, gentlemen. First phone call coming in, and it is from Baltimore.
Eric DaCosta. That's my best Eric DaCosta impression. This will be right. I have 2 trade offers for you. I know.
You
yeah. You can, obviously, either or. I know that you consider Justin Fields the future of your franchise. Okay. But we also have a face of our franchise, and he's playing hardball over contract negotiations. So other than that, he's a lovely bloke, you know. So I'm going to offer you Lamar Jackson, probably the previous NFL MVP, electrifying athlete in this league. Your number one pick. I think. Can you imagine having Justin Fields and Lamar Jackson basically 1-1? That would be incredible. Imagine stopping the run on that. That would be unbelievable.
So you're going to go, all right, Lamar for your number one.
I think so.
Your number one. Interesting. LJ8 for number one. Who would you take as your number one?
Who are we going to take?
Yeah, who are you going to take?
Would I mention last week in my mock draft? I can't think who it was. You know me, but this mock draft thing is pickling me.
Hang on. Let me just bring it up for you.
Thank you,
your
bud.
number
like
one
I said,
pick was for Baltimore was Tyree Wilson.
I thought it was Tyree something. So yeah, so we would take Tyree Wilson. But in all honesty, I shouldn't tell you that, being a competing GM.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of need some help in our DBs, you know. Okay, you said you got 2 trade offers for me. What's the other one you got down there?
Yeah. I'm also thinking as well. You don't have the most reliable or explosive running back core in the world. So I was going to offer you.
Montgomery's not too bad when he's fit.
Keywords when he's fit. I was going to offer you. A ticket to get on the Gus bus. I was going to offer you Gus Edwards and a 2nd round pick for Equinemius St. Brown, because we need a wide receiver, a very good one as well.
Gus, an extra 2nd round pick. So you're not going to give up your 22nd round pick?
No.
Your 22nd pick?
We do need to keep some things.
So Gus, number 2, and for St. Brown. Oh, hang on. I've got New Orleans coming on the phone. Let me get back to you, and I'll call you in a bit.
No worries.
Hello, Saint. How is Mardi Gras down there, mate?
I do declare, my name is Michael Loomis, and I am the general manager of the New Orleans Saints. Now, I have been watching you fellas talk about a potential trade, and I like the idea of bringing Justin Fields to New Orleans. Now, let me tell you, gentlemen, I like the concept of him coming to New Orleans. But there's a couple of things that I want to pitch to you first. So like the gentleman to my top right, I do have a couple of draft picks for you. Now, we have a wide receiver that does not want to be in New Orleans. And the Bears do need some wide receivers. So how about this for your number 1 pick in the NFL 2023 draft? We will give you Michael Thomas and our number 1 pick at 29 for the number 1 of the 2023 draft. Now, because we are badly run, just like yourselves in Chicago, I am also willing, absolutely also willing, to give you on top of that draft as well. We also want to bring Justin Fields to the NFL, but we are broke as sin, gents. We are so broke. It's not even a hurricane that's hit our dear city. Just poor management for myself. I want to bring to you, I want Justin Fields in exchange for our number 1 draft pick in the 2024 draft, the 2025 draft, and our 2nd round pick in the 2026 draft, because we don't have enough money to pay a quarterback on his 2nd deal up until that point. Gents, what do you say?
I will give you calls back, gentlemen. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to go and speak to my coaching. I'm going to speak to my coaching staff. And I'm going to go and get Phil some acting lessons.
Judge, I like the concept, but my execution leaves a lot to be desired.
I do declare.
Well-
I do declare, gents. Slap my leg.
Brilliant.
I do like.
You got him, Ivo, you got him.
I've gone. It's funny is I've actually got a Scottish family as well, so it's even funnier. Actually sounds like one of my cousins, which is quite hilarious. They're not watching this, because especially you to play tight end for Portsmouth. Right. Lamar trade gone because he's going to be we're able to get him for free, so that's not a problem. We'll get Lamar for free. It's fine.
I see.
I do like Gus and the number 2 for St. Brown. I do like that because we can pick up a good wide receiver at number 1. Probably pick a bunch. The best wide receiver at number 1 if we want to go down that field. Give some fields and targets. But I'd want your number 1 pick, not your number 2 pick.
Come on.
Yep.
That's a bit much.
Fields for Thomason 29, that would give us an issue. We wouldn't have a QB, and I don't think the QB we would want would be there at 29. So I don't like that one. Thomas, yes, but not for that. Not for your number 29. I'd want at least a couple of picks.
I am open to suggestions, sir.
I won't lie. Those 2 first-round picks of 24, 25, and the second-round pick in 26 does entice me. Because we still have the number 1 pick. We can then go and get Young, Stroud, Levins, any of those players we want. Still have the same heartache, still have the headache, and still have 5 years of playing on him. But I want something this year. What would you be able to give me this year?
I'll tell you what, gents. We really don't want Michael Thomas, so I am willing to give you Michael Thomas on top of the first round pick in 24, the first round pick in 25, and the second round pick in 26. Now, just in case you don't know, by the way, it's not GM Mickey Loomis representing the New Orleans Saints. It's actually me doing a voice for our listeners on Spotify. Now, the reason when you said this yesterday that I got super duper uber excited about doing this, because one, I really want to do my best Benoit Blanc impression, which due to feedback is not good. Thanks, gents. But the Saints are ridiculously poor. They cannot afford a quarterback in free agency because they don't have any money. Justin Fields is still on his rookie contract. He still has 2, potentially 3 more years on his rookie deal. That's why when I initially said it, the Saints need, their number 1 need in New Orleans is a quarterback because Winston isn't working out. Taysom Hill is not long term. They need something new. They need something young. Justin Fields, I think, would thrive in that environment. I think the rest of it would come with. So investing in their quarterback with a pretty decent, solid squad anyway. First round picks for the next couple of years and the second round pick. And then if by then Fields hasn't earned that proper contract, that would give New Orleans some breathing space because they would get rid of a lot of the fat contracts that they would have to pay, i.e. Michael Thomas and some of the other players as well. Just looking at, you got like DeMario.
Thomas is currently on 15.5 million.
Mm-hmm.
Whoa.
Justin Fields is on 4.7.
Yeah.
It could, by the end of next year, by the end of 2024, it could earn 18 million. So it gives you a nice 10 million cap space to play with.
Yeah.
So you're willing to give me, for Fields, so still keep my number 1 pick, Thomas, 24, 25, and his second round.
Yeah.
I like that pick because it gives your wide receiver, the new QB, a number 1 target.
Yep.
Bears have got 96 million cap space to play with. They've got ridiculous cap space.
Mm-hmm.
So we can go and get a QB in free agency. I'm going to take your offer of Thomas, your 24 number one, 25 number one, and your 26 second round. I'm going to take that. Thank you very much. That is a great deal. I absolutely love that one. Thank you for doing business, and the pick is in.
Wow.
I'm going to win executive of the year.
Mate, everyone would think we've done you for that.
Yeah, I was going to say, they overpaid on that one.
And yet, Mickey Loomis will still have a job come 20 or 24.
It's, as you said, Saints are bugger. They're minus 50 odd million in cap space. Absolutely screwed. Take a 10 million hit off is brilliant. Even if they let people go, they're going to have to do so much restructuring this year to try and get into something because they're going to get fined otherwise, lose picks and all that. So, it's going to be something that they're going to need to do about that. So, very great, very wise pick. Love that. Absolutely love that. Superb. So, we get a bona fide number one wide receiver. We keep Brown, who's going to be a bona fide number two wide receiver. And then we've still got a number one pick to go and get who we want, where we want.
Absolutely. I think that is, Ollie, an equal trade.
I don't think Kelly's gone. I don't think the Bears are going to trade Fields, though. In reality, he's only got just got decent. I do agree with that as well.
Sorry.
But this is going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting. Like you said, it's for cap space. It's for everything else. It's going to be absolutely brilliant. Yeah. Superb.
That's a nice little segment, wasn't it? A nice little segment. I enjoyed that.
I enjoyed that, yeah. I think we should keep doing that up until free agency hitting.
Yes. Let's do that.
Definitely good on that one. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this week's show. Thank you very much for listening and joining in. We will be uploading onto Spotify tomorrow morning. The show will go live. Hopefully, we'll be back for a foursome again next week. Phil, Shayna, brilliant as always. See you. Ladies and gentlemen, stay safe.